Would you put low quality fuel in a high performing car? Well, if no, why would you do that with your body?
We're talking about results, that you're feeling strong, healthy, energetic. Maybe you're playing a sport and we want to minimize injuries. So all of these stuff are important for our body so that we can deliver our best.
More about that on today's episode. Hey and welcome to today's competence video with us at Goat Sports. My name is Adrian and together with me is my colleague Martin Trante. So Martin, today we're going to talk about nutrient-rich foods and kind of keep it broad, but maybe even dive into some aspects. So then the first question is, of course, what is nutrient-rich in foods?
So when we talk about nutrient-rich foods, we talk about what the food actually contains of. So we talk about proteins, healthy fats, carbohydrates, we even talk about fiber. So basically the things that are in the food.
So even like minerals and vitamins, and so
Exactly.
the more rich it is.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So keeping it simple.
All right. So what would happen if a food would lack something like that?
Well, you might be eating empty calories. So let's say you're eating a food that is very calorie rich, but doesn't have that much nutrients, is it? So in it. So it's maybe just not a waste of calories, but you're not getting so much value from that food.
Of course. And the whole plan is to get like a variety of nutrients in, and then what that means in calories afterwards, well, it can differ a lot.
So I'm putting more focus on the value of the food or how dense of nutrients that food has.
That's good. Well, that's kind of what we want to aim at, of course, getting the most for our body as fuel.
Exactly.
So what are like some examples of nutrient-rich or nutrient-dense foods?
Well, we talk about this, that the food has maybe one ingredient, like a tomato. It doesn't have a whole variety of ingredients, but it has like one thing, it's tomatoes.
Yeah.
But it's very nutrient dense. It has vitamins, it has very healthy things in it.
Of course, but then we're talking also a little bit about whole foods.
Exactly, whole foods.
And
Yes.
then the opposite would be processed.
Yep.
And the bigger the process, the more ingredients and the less of food usually is in it.
Yeah, and the less nutrients it has as well.
Of course, because they do have like a couple types of foods where it's, well, they take out vitamins because they do the process and then they add the vitamins in afterwards, or they enrich it with something else. And people would think that, well, this has vitamin X in it, and therefore it should be good. And something to take with them is like, well, usually what happens if you expect that, well, this enriched food should have these vitamins, how does our body react to that?
Well, if it's not coming from a natural place, it might not be as easily taken up by the body. So if you're eating, let's say, potatoes or vegetables, you're getting more easily the vitamins, fiber that is in that food. Or if you're eating a processed food where the process is where they add vitamins. So there's a difference in it.
And of course, a lot of people don't realize, or a lot of us don't realize, that our body and the whole function of our body is still like very primitive.
Yeah.
So if we eat too modern type of food, our body can't really find like, what is it? Can't register those types of nutrients or the way they're cooked and so on. So the more nutrient rich is usually the more whole foods, like that, towards that, and the better fuel we'll get for our body.
So the whole foods that we're talking about, or the foods that have one ingredient, are like meats, fish, vegetables like kale, tomatoes, carrots. Those foods are very nutrient rich. We also have fermented foods like sauerkraut or kefir. They also have healthy bacteria and foods that are healthy for our body.
Because a lot of people would hear bacteria and think, oh no, I don't want that. It doesn't sound clean or anything else like that. But the bacteria, it's actually, we have a bunch of bacteria in our gut.
Yeah.
And what we want to do when we eat that kind of bacteria is we want to have more, because the more variety of bacteria we have, the more it can help dissolve the food, so the nutrients have an easier time of getting out, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then you could supplement that with other kinds of bacteria like probiotics or so-called. But why is it important? Because when you go to the supermarket or the grocery store, there's a big variety. Why pick that when the other thing is there next to it? So why is it important?
Well, so like the intro says, our body is a vehicle, and if you want to fill that up with quality food, we want to get the most of our body. So we're talking about results, that you're feeling strong, healthy, energetic. Maybe you're playing a sport and we want to minimize injuries. So all of these stuff are important for our body so that we can deliver our best. That's basically why it's so important to fill it up with healthy things, nutrient-rich foods, and those kind of things.
Well, of course, because when you plan it out, everything you do, when you work out, you wake up, you go to work, you go to sleep, you recover, like all the spans of things we do, without the right type of foods, something will kind of get neglected.
Yeah.
So we won't recover as properly. We won't be able to sleep as properly. I don't know how many of us have woken up in the middle of the night, feeling thirsty.
Yeah.
Or even
mouth is totally dry.
Exactly. Or even like having some kind of sweets, or like having like a craving in the middle of the night, and that's usually a sign of something's missing. So the more whole foods we have, the more whole we will feel. We can explain all of that. So just to summarize about nutrient-rich and nutrient-dense foods is that it becomes the fuel that our body needs in order to perform, to recover, and just to kind of be able to live the way we want to live the best way possible. What is important for us to do is put into context, where am I right now? Of course, we're not going to change our diet or change meals from one day to the other, but have that in mind that if sometimes we cheat a little bit, it's important that we really take a step back and gain whatever nutrient-rich foods that there is coming after that. More about these subjects will come, so keep on following us on all our platforms, and we'll give you weekly competence videos along the way. And until then, take care.